before the world knew the roar of luxury engines, before highways carried machines of speed and prestige, before the three-pointed star became a global symbol of excellence, there was a boy, born into poverty, driven not by comfort, but by curiosity. This is the story of how Carl Benz, a poor German boy, changed the world forever, and helped create what we now know as Mercedes-Benz. Carl Benz was born in 1844 in Karlsruhe, Germany. His father was a locomotive driver, a man fascinated by machines and movement. But fate struck early. When Carl was just 2 years old, his father died in a railway accident. Suddenly, the family was left with nothing. His mother, Josephine Benz, refused to let poverty define her son's future. She made a bold decision. She would invest everything she had into Carl's education, even if it meant sacrificing everything else. And that decision would change history. From a young age, Carl was different. While other children played, he studied. At just 15 years old, he entered the Karlsruhe Polytechnic, one of the top engineering schools in Germany. He wasn't just learning, he was imagining. At a time when horses ruled the roads, Carl began asking a strange question. What if machines could move without horses? It sounded impossible, even ridiculous. But Carl couldn't let it go. After graduating, Carl Benz entered the real world with big ideas. And no money. He started multiple businesses. And one by one, they failed. Investors lost faith. Partners walked away. Debt piled up. At one point, Carl was so broke that his workshop equipment was seized by authorities. From the outside, he looked like a failure. But there was one person who never stopped believing in him. Her name was Bertha Benz. And she wasn't just his wife. She was his partner, his investor, and his biggest supporter. When Carl had nothing left, Bertha secretly used her own dowry money to fund his work. She believed in something Carl was building. A machine powered not by horses, but by an engine. At the time, no one had successfully built such a vehicle. But Carl kept going. In 1885, after years of struggle, Carl Benz created something the world had never seen before. The Benz patent motor wagon. It was the first true automobile. A three-wheeled machine powered by an internal combustion engine. No horses, no tracks, no limits. But there was one problem. No one believed in it. People laughed. They called it dangerous, pointless, even insane. Carl had built the future. But the world wasn't ready. That's when Bertha Benz made a decision that would change everything. Without telling Carl, she took the motor wagon and drove it over 100 kilometers. This was the first long-distance automobile journey in history. Along the way, she solved problems in real time, invented the first brake lining, fixed mechanical issues, created the first fuel stops. When she returned, everything had changed. The world finally saw. This machine wasn't a toy, it was the future. After Bertha's journey, demand began to grow. People started taking Carl Benz seriously. His company began producing automobiles. Slowly at first, then faster. Carl Benz had done what many thought impossible. He created an entirely new industry. But he wasn't alone. While Carl Benz was struggling to bring his invention to life, another visionary was quietly shaping the future of mobility in a different part of Germany. His name was Gottlieb Daimler. Daimler was not interested in simply creating a machine that could replace the horse. His ambition was different. He wanted speed. He wanted power. He wanted to push the limits of what an engine could do. Alongside his brilliant partner Wilhelm Maybach, Daimler began experimenting with compact, high-performance engines that could be fitted into various types of vehicles, from motorcycles to boats and eventually cars. Unlike Benz, who focused on building a practical automobile for everyday use, Daimler envisioned machines that were faster, lighter, and more dynamic. His approach was bold and aggressive, driven by a belief that the future of transportation would not just be functional, but thrilling. The two men never met. They worked in parallel, unaware that history would one day connect their legacies forever. Yet despite their differences, they shared one powerful idea. The world was ready to move beyond the horse. And both were racing toward that same future. The name that would define the brand did not come from an engineer or an inventor. It came from a businessman with vision and ambition, Emil Jelinek. Jelinek was more than just a customer. He was obsessed with Daimler's cars. He raced them across Europe, sold them to wealthy clients, and promoted them relentlessly. But he understood something deeper than most. Branding mattered. Identity mattered. Emotion mattered. Jelinek believed that if these machines were to succeed, they needed a name that people could connect with something elegant, memorable, and human. So he made a bold demand. The cars would be named after his daughter, Mercedes. It was a name that sounded refined, modern, and timeless. And with that single decision, the identity of one of the greatest automotive brands in history was born. By the end of World War I, Germany was in crisis. The economy was unstable, industries were struggling, and competition was fierce. Even companies led by brilliant minds like Benz and Daimler were not immune to these pressures. Survival required something bold. In 1926, two former rivals made a decision that would reshape the automotive world. The companies founded by Karl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler merged to form Mercedes-Benz. It was more than a merger. It was the unification of two philosophies. Benz brought reliability and practicality. Daimler brought performance and innovation. Together, they created a company that could do both. Two visions, one identity, one unstoppable force. From that moment on, Mercedes-Benz began its journey toward global dominance. Mercedes-Benz did not aim to follow trends. It aimed to set them. From the very beginning, the company focused on one principle: excellence without compromise. This mindset drove continuous innovation. Mercedes engineers pushed boundaries, introducing technologies that would later become industry standards. They developed stronger vehicle structures that improved durability and safety. They refined engines to deliver both power and efficiency. They introduced advanced braking systems that gave drivers greater control. Every innovation had a purpose: to make driving safer, to make performance better, to make engineering more precise. While others competed for market share, Mercedes-Benz competed for perfection. And in doing so, it positioned itself not just as a manufacturer, but as a benchmark. But history is rarely kind to even the greatest of companies. World War II brought devastation across Europe. Germany's infrastructure collapsed. Factories were destroyed. Production halted completely. Mercedes-Benz was not spared. Its facilities were damaged. Its operations were disrupted. Its future was uncertain. For a moment, it seemed as if everything that had been built over decades might disappear. But just like before, the company rebuilt, piece by piece, step by step. With determination and resilience, Mercedes-Benz restarted production, modernized its processes, and adapted to a new world. It didn't just recover, it evolved. In the decades that followed, Mercedes-Benz transformed from a respected manufacturer into a global icon. It became more than a car company. It became a symbol. Luxury, innovation, prestige. From political leaders to business executives, from celebrities to royalty, owning a Mercedes-Benz meant something. It represented success. It represented achievement. It represented identity. Driving a Mercedes was not just about getting from one place to another. It was about how you arrived. Today, Mercedes-Benz stands as one of the most recognized and respected automotive brands in the world. Its vehicles are sold across continents. Its innovations influence the entire industry. Its legacy spans over a century. From humble beginnings rooted in struggle and experimentation, the company has grown into a global powerhouse worth billions. And yet, at its core, it still carries the spirit of its founders. Behind the luxury, the engineering, and the global success is a much deeper story. Karl Benz did not begin with wealth or privilege. He began with failure, with debt, with doubt, with a world that didn't believe in him. What made him different was not luck. It was persistence. It was the ability to continue when everything seemed impossible, and the courage to believe in something, even when no one else did. Today, every time a Mercedes-Benz engine starts, it carries a legacy. A story of a poor boy who refused to give up, a story of innovation born from struggle, a story of vision that reshaped the world. Carl Benz did not just build a machine. He built the future. And when you see that three-pointed star, remember where it came from. Not from luxury, not from power, but from determination. Because sometimes, the greatest inventions in history are created not by those who have everything, but by those who have nothing, except an idea, and the courage to chase it. If you love stories of innovation, resilience, and success, hit subscribe and stay inspired.